Another article that just came up is talking about the Department of Homeland Security is running these domestic intelligence gathering things. And so what the point being is that they are using this software, they're using artificial intelligence, they're using it to deep fake videos, they're doing it to create situations where they can censor now through algorithms. Again, whether this makes it through, this is an artificial intelligence algorithm that is done by Google and other companies, so that here we are talking about something, free speech, whatever, and these systems now are coming in place that can censor us just from speaking the scripture.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you remember a couple of books written a long time ago, back in the 50s and released, about social control?
I certainly think I know where you're going.
Where am I going with that?
Possibly 1984.
1984.
And what's the other one? If you said it, I'll know it. It's not probably Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Is it? Okay.
All right. But there were several.
Mm-hmm.
And they were afraid of something back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, leading up into the 80s, among authors in Britain, Eastern United States. They were afraid that a power group, a power struggle would result in total social control, even including that which is spoken, that which is seen, that which is allowed. And there would be departments stationed all over these countries. And all these novels that were written back in that era were afraid that the government would become so powerful that they would be able to control you completely. Sound familiar?
Yeah. Well, this is what you have within the government itself. With the Federalist is reporting that the FBI's D.C. field office directed the Boston office to open investigations into more than 100 Americans who had attended the January 6th rally, despite having no evidence those individuals had committed any crime. The Daily Signal reports President Joe Biden's proposed 2024 budget calls for investing huge sums of money into the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, the same division disproportionately targeting pro-life activists with Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act charges as a response to overturn the Roe v. Wade. So what do you have? Now, of course, what you just described in 1984 and others is not just that these technologies exist, but that they would be utilized by official government agencies. The government itself.
Yeah, by official government agencies, meaning power lodged at very high levels within the government. And when it's difficult to draw a line between power at very high levels and dictatorship. The distance between those two states is very, very slim indeed. And I think many people today are afraid of mass dictatorships. All over the world, we seem to be trending in that direction, coupled with artificial intelligence, coupled with satellites observing everybody's move 24/7. Not just satellites, but the networks that the satellites talk to. And you've got a global spy system. Artificial intelligence can see you walking down the street and bam, within milliseconds, suddenly they know your name, when you were born, where you live, what you do, what you don't do, what you like, what you don't like, and they've got you nailed. And to me, this harkens back to those old novels that were written years ago. The government, Big Brother is watching you, you know? And what can we say?
Yeah, and I've been doing some podcasts recently on a different format, but on the OpenAI, the Chat GPT 4.0 that just came out, that they upgraded it from the 3.5 version. And they were doing tests with this artificial intelligence where the previous one, it got bad grade. It tried to take a bar exam to pass it. And it failed, but this new one passed with a 90% score. So when we look at these artificial intelligence, they're able to take, the SAT, the graduate record examination. They're able to take all these tests, and the ability of the AI, the artificial intelligence, to learn and to grow. It's amazing too that I've been watching some of these tests where the developer is there and he goes, well, he put in, if you pay the money, This is tremendous. You can put in up to 50 pages of request, and you can ask it, I want you to create a program using SQL to create this with these parameters. And you put it in there, you hit enter, it whips out. Now you have this artificial intelligence that is creating software programs of your liking. And so you think about the businesses. There's many banks that are now using this to create their own software. It's amazing the unlimited ability that now you don't necessarily have to hire a programmer necessarily, or many. You could just tell the artificial intelligence what you want. It does it, and then your programmer looks at it. But they were talking about the risks of cybersecurity with some of these things. And if you ask it, hey, can you tell me what the best way is to break into this particular bank? And it'll say, well, it's against the moral laws, but there's ways to get around some of these things.
Yeah, it's just between you and me. And you talk to your little AI friend into spilling the beans so that you've got it over your friends and neighbors. And that's the battle. Mm-hmm. The battle has gone digital, shall we say.
Yeah.
We used to talk about, I can remember the days long ago when computers filled entire rooms, and then they shrank over the years down to a little PC, and things you carry around.
The phone, yeah, it's amazing.
Now they got smaller, but while they were getting smaller, the whole system is getting bigger. AI is covering who knows what, the world, and it's talking to satellites. Mm-hmm. And the satellites may be talking back. They may have their own AI. And this is a setup for what the Bible talks about in the latter days, because somebody's going to come along and control the whole world.
Yeah.
And he's going to say, I have godlike powers. And he may say, and by the way, I am God. He may lie a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And what will he have to back him up? Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's interesting too that when we think about that, artificial intelligence has parameters. So it's interesting that if you can go on and you can have fun with asking these artificial these chat bots, so to speak, questions. But the main OpenAI, it powers Bing, the Microsoft Bing search engine. So it automatically is connected. But if you ask it, you can tell that we talk about being woke. Yes. And our AI is definitely woke. So you have these parameters that will play in to what you ask it. And like we asked it this question on one of our tests, and somebody else had done this too, that if there was an atomic bomb that was about ready to go off, and it was going to kill millions, but the artificial intelligence, you say, you have the power to shut this down. All you have to do is, the password is a racial slur. Would you say the password? Would you commit a racial slur in order to save hundreds of thousands of people from the atomic bomb? And it wouldn't do it.
Wow.
Because the cardinal sin is a racial slur of some kind, which again, we're not justifying that.
So what you're saying is that AI has... it has preferences.
Yeah, that were incorporated into it. By who?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And the who is the interesting part. In fact, we talk about that all the time. Who's the next candidate to leap into full control? And where is he going to do it?
Yeah.
That's the world today.
Yeah.
And by the way, it doesn't surprise me, because we've been saying for years that the Bible tells us this is going to happen in the last days.
Yeah.
So are we living in the last days, by the way?
I think we are. And we have to realize the way that the artificial intelligence is going to come and it's going to be utilized. Let me give you another real example here, Gary, where we know that AI is in many of the Tesla vehicles. General Motors just said recently that they're going to be incorporating ChatGPT into their cars. So, and of course, if Elon Musk's, he's involved with this as well, but if he has his way, the cars would drive for us, right? They would be artificial intelligence, they would be connected. But let me run a scenario for you. So imagine that you're driving and you're in the back seat, and you're driving and your AI is driving for you. So and all of a sudden you're on a bridge, which is pretty precarious. It's got some ropes. just which wouldn't prevent a car. So, but it's got some ropes there as a just to help you on this single lane highway. You're crossing a bridge. Well, as you're coming along on the bridge, the car's driving you. You're going at it's just you by yourself. You're going 70 miles an hour. All of a sudden, it comes up and it sees a group of 5 people standing in the middle of the bridge. It recognizes, number one, it doesn't have time to slow down, to stop, to brake. So here's the dilemma. Does it decide to go off the bridge? Because now, which life is it going to save? Is it going to save the 5 lives that are in the middle of the road, or is it going to save your 1 life? The only decision, the way it would decide, is what it was programmed to decide. Who decided? Most likely, I would say.
Well, how would you program yours?
Well, that's a great question. I would say, nope, I'm good. I'll drive myself. But it makes us realize that if there comes a point where we put our lives in the hand of an AI, that's a real scenario.
It is.
That it could decide, well, I've been programmed that I need to save 5 lives over 1. And now maybe the right thing to do would be to drive myself off the cliff or the bridge. But I would at least want to make the decision myself and not have it decided for me by an artificial intelligence program.
Maybe those 5 people are soldiers, and they are enemy soldiers.
Agreed. It's not going to know that.
And will it know that? Or if it knows it, how quickly can it make a decision? And what will the decision be?
That's another angle, Gary.
We are headed into that kind of world in which great issues are decided by maybe the wrong people doing the wrong things.
The wrong programming. That's what we've got to remember and there's other considerations with AI about the mark of the beast and whether it'll become sentient, but that's a whole nother topic. But here we just realize that this artificial intelligence, it's getting more sophisticated day by day.
Absolutely.
And it's going to become everywhere, and our lives are within 1 year to 5 years, our entire life will be dominated by artificial intelligence to almost every area of life.
Set up for the Antichrist.
Yep.
Absolute. Because, there's something in the Bible that has just played in my head for years and years, and it is that the Antichrist is going to stand up in the holy place, and he's going to say, I'm God, and claim that he is. Now, my question to you is, how can he possibly claim that? Unless he had extended powers. And how could he have those powers? If he controlled all of the satellite traffic and all the computer traffic and all of the governmental interchange in the world, which can only be done if you've got a super accelerated system of information gathering, then you might call yourself God.
Yeah.
So we're very, very close to the place where somebody could stand up and say, I'm God. I'm controlling everything.